Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to be doing our second math lesson. It is topic 14, lesson 2. So for this, you need your Envisions math workbook that we used the other day. We are working out of volume 2, and we are on page 561. So you should be on this page. If you need to pause me at any time to go get your workbook, please do so before we get started. So we are starting on page 561. I'm going to be using my computer, so my tool might be a little bit different, but just follow along the best you can. So this wants us to tell how 5 shapes are alike and tell how 5 shapes are different. So we are wanting to see how these 5 shapes are alike and how they are different. So these are the shapes down here that I'm going to be working with. So first, I want to tell some ways that they are alike. Well, one thing that I could say is that they are all alike because they are all shapes. Something we could also say is that all of these shapes have vertices. Remember, vertices are the points on our shapes. So all of my shapes have vertices. One way that I could tell that they are different is that they are all different sizes. My square is a lot smaller than my rectangle, and my shapes down here are different sizes as well. I could also say they are different because they are different colors. Some are red, some are blue, some are purple. And one more difference I could say is that not all of my shapes have straight lines. Up here we have a straight line. Ooh, Mrs. Collier's line wasn't that straight, but that's okay. But if we go here to this shape, this is not a straight line. So there is one way we could say that those shapes are different. All right, boys and girls, go ahead and turn your workbook page. You should be on page 562. And we are going to use this video to go through our workbook page. So please follow along.
How are all these shapes alike? They all have 4 sides and 4 vertices. They are all closed shapes. How are they different?
So boys and girls, we are following along with our workbook page at the top of page 562. So we're right up here. So it just told us how they are alike, that they have 4 sides and 4 vertices, and they are also all closed shapes. But how are they different?
They are different colors and sizes. They are in different positions. Rectangles are 2-dimensional closed shapes that have 4 vertices and 4 sides that are joined to make square corners. These shapes are rectangles. A square is a special rectangle because all 4 sides are equal in length. Which of these shapes are squares?
Select your answer.
All right, boys and girls, so this wants us to figure out which of these shapes are squares. So if you look at our answer choices over here, we see that there are 2 letters for each answer. Those letters come from our shapes over here. So we have a B, an R, a Y, and a G to represent each of those shapes. But it wants us to find which ones are the squares. Well, we know that R, the red shape, is a rectangle. So I know that any of my answer choices that have an R are not going to be what I'm looking for. So if I look at my first answer choice, it says R and B. Well, R and B are rectangles and not squares, so that cannot be my answer. Let's look at Y and R. Well, Y is a square, but it has R in it, which we just said was a rectangle, so that cannot be it either. Let's look at Y and G. Well, Y is a square, and G is a square as well. But before we pick it, let's double check and make sure our last answer is not it. For our last answer choice, we have G and B. Well, G is a square, but B, is a rectangle. So our answer is going to be Y and G.
The shapes are different colors, sizes, and in different positions, but they are all still rectangles. Shapes are not defined by color, overall size, or position.
Awesome job. All right, let's keep going. So now we are on the convince me part of our work page. So it's on the same page, it's just right here on this side. So it says, convince me. Why is this shape not a square? So we just talked about how squares are just special rectangles. So when I see this shape here, let me get my marker. I know this is a rectangle. One, because it has 4 sides, but this side and this side are not the same length. And we know that a square, oh my goodness, you guys will know Miss Collier is not that great at drawing, but she tries her best. A square has to be equal on all 4 sides, and this is not because it's a rectangle. So now we're going to do this part of our workbook together. It's on the same page and it says guided practice. So make sure you are on guided practice. So it wants us to circle the words that are true for the shape. So we have 2 squares down here. So it wants us to circle the words that make these 2 squares. Sorry, that was kind of confusing. Let me rephrase that. They want us to circle the phrases that best describe these 2 squares. So let's do this one together. So this says all squares are blue. Well, we have 2 squares in this. One of them is blue, but the other one is not. So it would not be true to say that all squares are blue. So we will not circle that choice. But let's go to our next one. All squares have 4 equal sides. We do know that this is true because that is what makes a square, 4 equal sides. You can also look at our pictures over here and see that all 4 sides of the square are equal. So I am going to circle this, and I want you guys to circle it as well in your workbook. All squares are closed shapes. So we spent some time talking about open and closed shapes. A closed shape is shown here in both of our squares. All of the sides meet and there is no opening or open spaces. So these are closed shapes. If they were open, one of these sides would not be connected. All squares are small. Well, our blue square is pretty small, but our red square is not smaller or even the same size. So this could not be a true statement. And our last one, all squares have 4 square corners. So we've been talking a lot about vertices, which are these corner points in our shapes. So this statement is saying that all squares have 4 corners. So let's count and double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of our squares do have 4 square corners. So we circled all of the words that are true about our squares. So we should have circled all squares have 4 equal sides, are closed shapes, and have 4 corners. If you need to pause or rewind at any time, you can do so. Okay. So now this is independent practice. So this is what you guys do by yourself. But Miss Collier is going to read through it so that you have a little bit of guidance still. This is on page 563. So it wants us to circle the words that are true for each shape. So it's just what we got done doing. So this is saying that all triangles are orange, have 3 sides, have 3 equal sides, are tall, are closed figures. So it's talking about this triangle right over here. So it wants you to circle the words that are true for each shape. So I will do one of these with you. All triangles are orange. This triangle is orange, but not all triangles are orange. So that is not a true statement. All triangles have 3 sides. Let's double check. 1, 2, and 3. That is true. So I'm going to circle that a triangle, all triangles have 3 sides. So now you are going to go through these statements and circle which ones are true. And you will also do that for circles. So this says all circles are blue, have 0 vertices, are small, have 0 straight sides. So you're going to circle which ones are true for each shape. Number 4, Tim says that this is a rectangle. Is he correct? Tell why or why not. So this one may be a little tricky and you might need some help writing out your answer. So Tim says that this is a rectangle. So is he right or wrong? So let's look at our rectangle together. A rectangle is a 4-sided closed shape. But, uh-oh, there's an opening here. And rectangles do not have open spaces. They're closed shapes. So is Tim correct when he says that this shape is a rectangle? Write your answer in the lines provided. All right, boys and girls, last page. So I just turned my workbook page to the next page on 564. So this wants us to solve each problem below. Do all rectangles have equal sides? Circle yes or no. So it wants you to circle yes or no for this answer. Do all rectangles have equal sides? Here where you can draw a rectangle. Okay. So for number 6, it says, Jake says both of these shapes are hexagons because they are closed, have 6 straight sides, and are red. Do you agree? So Jake said that both of these shapes down here are hexagons because they are closed, they have 6 straight sides, and are red. So this area over here wants to say if we agree or not. So do we agree that these two shapes are hexagons because they are closed, have 6 straight sides, and are red? Do we agree, yes or no? So let's think about this together because this is a little bit of a hard question. So we know both of these shapes are hexagons. So a hexagon has 6 sides to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that they're hexagons, but are they hexagons because they are closed, have 6 straight sides, and are red? That is what it wants us to know. And our last one on number 7 says, Tanya says that this shape is not a square. Do we agree? Yes or no? So Tanya says that this shape over here is not a square. So it wants you to circle yes or no, and then why you know it is or is not a square.